Hello my dear friends and welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara and today we're going to be going over your 12th house and how you may behave unconsciously. Now the 12th house does signify several different things. So amongst all those things, it can also signify how you behave unconsciously. Now what we want to do is we want to realize that we are behaving this way. So it's not your unconscious that's in the driver's seat and rather it is you, your conscious mind, okay? So I'm going to be going through each of the signs. We're going to be starting with Leo in the 12th house. So if you have Leo in the 12th house, your unconscious desire and the way you may be behaving unconsciously is that you may be seeking recognition from people. You might feel like people should be treating you at an elevated status, okay, like royalty almost. When you have that Leo 12th house, you might be expecting people to kiss the floor that you walk upon, okay? You might be even interested in creative ventures, okay? Because Leo does deal with creativity. So you might be interested in things like acting. You might be interested in things like singing, depending on the rest of your natal chart. You could also be interested in leadership. Basically anything that puts you on that stage, okay? Even videos like this, okay? So that's the whole thing when you have that Leo 12th house. It is how you're unconsciously behaving. Now every side has its light side and its shadow side. So a shadow trait for you guys could be that you might be egotistical without realizing because it is the unconscious. You might have a lot of pride. You might have these hidden desires or secret desires, right? But your pride might get in the way. Your ego might get in the way. These types of things, okay? So important to understand that at the end of the day, you guys want to be seen, okay? You want to take it out of that 12th house and basically express that desire, okay? Because the thing is, if it doesn't get expressed, it's going to come out anyway, okay? That's the whole thing to understand, especially when you have Leo in there, because Leo can also fall into the shadow of creating dramas in their life to get that attention that they're seeking, okay? That's the thing when you have that Leo in the 12th house, you want everything to be big, you want to be seen, you want to be respected, you want to be acknowledged, you want to be recognized. That's the whole thing when you have Leo in the 12th house. If you have Aquarius in your 12th house unconsciously, you're going to be behaving like an Aquarius, okay? This is without you realizing that you behave this way. You might be different, you might be quirky, you might be wanting to be recognized, okay, for those quirks, for being eccentric, for being outside of the box. You might be detached from people, okay, from people around you. You might kind of be like a lone wolf. You might have a lot of friends because Aquarius does deal with large groups of people, but you might not necessarily feel like you fit in with these friends. Unconsciously, you might be a trendsetter, okay? You might have ideas that come through, and even maybe the way that you dress and the way that you express yourself is very much ahead of your time, and you might notice that everybody else starts to do what you've already done. So because you have this 12th house energy in the sign of Aquarius, you want to always take your ideas that you receive and write them down, okay? Because there could be $1 million idea in there, okay? Something important to keep in mind. Another thing with Aquarius is it can fall into the shadow where it's kind of like too much in the ego, where it's like, I want to be different from the crowd. I want to be separate from the crowd. Don't put me in that box. These types of things. That's the thing. We want to master our 12th house because it is our unconscious. It is in that driver's seat. We want to take those energies and integrate them and become aware that this is how we are behaving. So when you have Aquarius in that 12th house, unconsciously, you're going to be having this dream and desire to connect people together, okay? That's the whole thing here. You feel like you're here for a bigger purpose. You feel like you're here to propel the collective forward, but it's in the 12th house, so it's hidden, okay? You might not be expressing it, but it's there. It's like a secret desire deep down inside, okay? So it needs to be expressed. Because most of the time when we do have these desires, they don't get expressed in a positive way or the way that we want them to. It usually still finds its way out, okay? But it's usually negative, okay? So there could be other ways that the Aquarius energy is being expressed. Most of the time, Aquarius in the shadow. So this is the thing if you have Aquarius in the 12th house. If you have Scorpio in your 12th house unconsciously, there's so much taking place here. Basically, when you have Scorpio in the 12th house, unconsciously, first of all, you do behave like a Scorpio without realizing. You are going to possess a lot of the Scorpio-like traits. You know, the ones that we all talk about, things like possessiveness, highly intuitive, highly psychic, energy work. You could be very in tune with your sexuality. But the thing is, when you have Scorpio in the 12th house, the main name of the game for you is to learn to integrate the shadows of life. Because otherwise, your shadows and your subconscious are going to be in the driver's seat. Even traumas, okay, that's a huge thing when you have Scorpio in the 12th house. So you could have your traumas within your life that are leading you without you realizing, okay, that's that whole energy where it's like your traumas or things that have taken place, or even just any unconscious beliefs, just shadow traits, okay, maybe programming. These types of things are in the driver's seat, and it's kind of like you might be like, well, why aren't things working out for me? It's because this is what's kind of leading you and guiding you. That's why we want to understand our 12th house, because once you are able to integrate that 12th house the unconscious, then it's no longer in the driver's seat. You have control over that. So basically integrating these types of things, deep shadow work is probably what's going to have to take place. Basically exploring yourself, exploring your unconscious, exploring maybe, again, things that could have either taken place in your life, things like traumas, or things that are buried in your subconscious, maybe just negative belief systems or things that have been passed down through the family line that you are unconsciously perpetuating. So that's the thing if you have Scorpio in the 12th house. If you have Taurus in your 12th house unconsciously, you are going to be behaving like a Taurus. So you're going to take on those Taurus-like qualities where it's like you probably like to work hard, you want the material things, you want wealth, you want money. You're probably going to be someone who's very interested in your career and propelling yourself forward. The thing is, you might not be aware of it because it is in your 12th house. So it could fall into the shadow of that where it's kind of like, you know, you might say things like, I don't care about money or whatever it is, but you secretly want it, okay? Or I don't care about those material things, like they don't mean anything to me, but you secretly want it. These types of things. Also, Taurus does bounce off of Scorpio, so they can fall into things like possessiveness, okay? They do value loyalty, so you're going to be very loyal unconsciously, but you could also be covert possessive, okay? Sometimes it's going to be hidden, where it's like you could be possessive of different things. Doesn't necessarily have to be just people in your life. It could be maybe your jobs, maybe your roles, maybe, you know, you were the leader in a position at your job and now somebody else comes in and you're threatened, whatever it is, right? So you basically want to integrate, okay, all of that energy so it's not unconsciously in your driver's seat, so you can take advantage of that and know that this is what you're looking for, okay? You are looking for wealth, you are looking for material things, you do want the finer things in life. And the thing is, Taurus can also fall into the shadow of overindulgence because it basically lives through its senses, okay? It likes the way something tastes, so it might eat all the time, right? It likes the way something feels, these types of things. Really, really important to understand when you have Taurus in the 12th house that this is what your leading and guiding factors are, because the thing is, the energy needs to be expressed anyways. So if it doesn't get expressed in a positive way where it's like, okay, this is the energy that I have, these are the things that I want, it's going to still come out probably in a negative way, in the shadow way. This is Taurus in the 12th house. Next, let's look at Libra. So if you have Libra in your 12th house unconsciously, you like the nicer things in life. You're very Venusian. You could even be very feminine in your nature. You could like artistic things, beautiful things. You want things to look nice. You want things to be put together, maybe even the way that you dress or the way that you decorate your home, or just like picking up art pieces when you travel. You could even be interested in things like makeup, just making yourself look nice. It's really all about the arts, the Venusian things in life, and indulging. The thing is, because it is in the 12th house, okay, if it's unconscious, it might be expressed negatively. So the negative traits of Libra could be indecisiveness, okay? You could come off maybe flaky to people. Maybe you struggle with boundaries. You could struggle with people pleasing as well unconsciously. That's the thing, we want to integrate that 12th house, because if we don't realize we're behaving this way, you might say things like, oh, I don't like Libras, I don't get along with Libras, whatever, right? But the thing is, at the end of the day, you could unconsciously be behaving this way, okay? So it's important to look at the 12th house, because ultimately at the end of the day, you want to be conscious of this. You want to be in the driver's seat. You don't want your unconscious beliefs and desires basically leading you without you realizing that this is taking place. If you have your 12th house in the sign of Aries, unconsciously, you want to be the best. You want to be number one. Most of the time, this is some sort of new cycle that you're beginning. You could be the first one in your family that does something new, that does something different, maybe than the family line. You could really value your independence. You want to be the best. You could even be competitive, okay? That could happen with the Aries in the 12th house. It's unconscious, okay? Unconsciously, you are a go-getter. You want to get things. You want to start things. You want to basically be in this energy of being the best, being recognized for this. But the thing is, when it's in the 12th house, it's hidden. So you might not realize that you have this energy within you. You might not realize that you have that potential that you seek. You might just dream about it. You're going to have a lot of dreams, and you have this unconscious energy that's pushing you forward, okay? So that's the thing when you have Aries in the 12th house. Now, some other unconscious behaviors that may take place could be impulsiveness. It could be very much emotional reactivity. So it's like when you have a certain emotion about a certain type of thing, you react right away. There could be aggression. The thing is, you always want to channel this energy in something positive. You could be very aggressive in terms of your goals, okay? But again, maybe not too aggressive to the point where you're throwing people under the bus, because that Aries energy, when it's in the shadow, can become ruthless. So this is the thing with the 12th house. We really, really want to integrate it, okay? We want to become aware of it, because otherwise, if we are not expressing the divine aspects, it's still going to come out the energy, and probably it's going to come out in the negative aspects. So you want to look and see what that Aries energy is in the divine aspect of itself, and basically find ways to integrate that into your life. If you have Capricorn in your 12th house unconsciously, you behave like a Capricorn. So unconsciously, you want to be at the top, okay? You want to elevate your financial status, overall your status in life, okay? You want the wealth, you want to be recognized. You could even be interested in things like public roles, working with the public. It can go on a huge range, okay? It could even be corporate. It could even be having your own business. It really depends. But when you have that Capricorn in the 12th house, you really, really want to become aware, okay, that this is your unconscious. Your unconscious desires are this. You want to acquire things. You want to elevate your status, okay? You maybe want to be amongst certain groups, okay, of people. You might be interested in having mentors or coaches or people who are going to help you along your journey get to that status that you are ultimately seeking at the end of the day. Because it is in the 12th house, it's hidden, so you might not be aware of this. Or you might be more so in the dreamer state of this, right? Where it's like, oh, I'm dreaming of these things. Oh, I want this, I want that wealth, but you might not even know how to get started. Because again, it is the 12th house, it's hidden, okay, but it's also, there's illusions around it. So again, if you know you have this energy and you know you might have these desires, you want to find a way to basically execute that. So like I mentioned, maybe getting a mentor, maybe getting a coach, looking at people who are in the area where you want to be in, and maybe seeing what they did to get there, these types of things. That's what takes place when you have Capricorn in the 12th house. Also, if you have Capricorn in the 12th house, you might feel a burden on your shoulders of feeling the need to take on more responsibility. So again, lightening that load off of you, okay, because it's kind of like it's in the unconscious. You don't realize, okay, there could be some sort of programming, maybe from when you were young, where you kind of were put into situations where you had to take on a lot of responsibility, and now you're just behaving unconsciously in this way where it's like you just feel burdened, okay, you feel heavy, because it's like there's a lot of responsibility that you have taken on. So this is the thing if you have Capricorn in your 12th house. If you have Cancer in your 12th house, unconsciously you behave like a Cancer, okay? You can be very feminine in your nature. It doesn't matter whether you are male or female. We all have these energies within us. You could be very nurturing. You could be very caring. You could even like cooking, you know, spoiling people around you, creating a home, a cozy environment. You might be interested more so in being a hermit. You could even be interested in things like working from home. That's the thing when you have that Cancerian 12th house, okay? So this is what's happening unconsciously. You could also be interested in art, okay? Because a lot of the time these water signs do express these emotions and they transmute them through art. So this could be an unconscious desire of yours. Other unconscious desires could be very much wanting to be more so a homebody, okay? Very much wanting to be more so, again, in that feminine energy, wanting to be free, wanting to be flowing, going with the flow, going with the emotions. You could be highly intuitive if you have that Cancerian 12th house, okay? And unconsciously, you could be behaving this way. So because you might be intuitive without realizing that you're intuitive, okay, you could come off moody to people because maybe you take on a lot of people's energies. Because that's the thing, Cancer absorbs. So when you have that Cancer 12th house, because Cancer is ruled by the moon, you might come off moody, you might not even be aware of your emotions. That's the whole thing here. With Cancer energy, you always want to take time to integrate emotions, okay? So that's the thing, and separate from other people, because otherwise you might come off moody to those around you. So that's the thing, and you could be unconsciously behaving this way, doing this without even realizing, if you have Cancer in the 12th house. If you have Virgo in your 12th house unconsciously, you might behave like a Virgo. You might be very critical, okay, of people around you and of yourself. You could be critical of certain things. You might feel like certain things aren't enough or good enough. You might be constantly striving for perfection in different areas of your life, and this could be in the driver's seat for you, okay? So you might have goals, you might have ambitions, and it's kind of like when you do get that thing, you might not be happy, or you might kind of like be in it for a little bit of time and then move on to the next thing. That's the thing with Virgo. It's like they are constantly striving for perfection. So because they are striving for this, when they do receive certain things, it might not be, first of all, how they envisioned, because they do bounce off of Pisces, but also they could fall into that energy where it's like, you know, it could be better, okay? Or this thing is off, or it's like, you know, maybe you get the dream job and the job that you love, and it's like now you have an issue maybe with the commuting time, whatever it is, right? So it's like the Virgo energy, especially in the 12th house, is always going to find something to nitpick, okay? It could even be, let's say, in your own personal development journey or your own healing journey, these types of things, because it's in the 12th house, it's hidden, you don't realize that it's there, you don't realize that you have this energy going on within you, that you might be very critical of you, of certain situations, of certain circumstances. It's hidden, okay? It's in that 12th house. So what we want to do is we want to integrate that energy, because once you do integrate the energy, then it's no longer in the driver's seat, okay? Because that's kind of what's guiding you, okay? That's probably a situation, maybe if you're tapping into this video now, maybe it's like you're noticing and realizing, oh my gosh, you know, in my life, I've always been very critical of whatever I received, maybe never were satisfied, or maybe you didn't feel happy with the outcome of whatever it is that you wanted, and that's kind of been your driving factor without realizing it. So we want to integrate it so you can go into the positive attributes of Virgo, which is health, healing, and being of service. That's the thing with Virgo. And also another thing that's coming through to mention is sometimes Virgo might feel overburdened because it's kind of like they want to be of service to everyone and they forget to fill their own cup first. That's the thing. This is unconscious. This is without you realizing, okay, that you're constantly maybe being of service to other people, maybe helping other people, maybe taking on certain roles. Let's say it's at work, maybe taking on a lot of work. That's a huge thing to understand with Virgo. You always want to be able to fill your own cup first. So this is if you have Virgo in the 12th house. If you have Pisces in the 12th house, unconsciously you behave like a Pisces. You just want to be free. You want to be a free spirit. You want to wake up today and go here, and you know, tomorrow you go there. You just want to be able to go with the flow. It's the fish, right? The fish goes with the stream, wherever the flow goes. You are romantic at heart, okay, deep down inside. You have this vision, you have these dreams, okay? That's the thing with the Piscean energy. Although quickly, okay, it can fall into the shadow aspects, especially if you don't realize you have this energy going on within you, where it's like it goes into escapism, escaping. Now, escaping can be through different things, okay? You can escape through working, okay? You can escape through traveling. You can escape through the psychic world, the psychic realms, being out of body all the time. You can escape through drugs and substance abuse. So a huge thing to watch out for if you do have that Piscean 12th house is substances, okay? Because again, Pisces loves to be out of body. They love the way things feel, and they love things that basically aren't on the earth plane, okay? That's the whole thing to understand with the Piscean energy. They'd rather be, you know, in the higher vibrations all the time where it's love and it's bliss, because this is really what Pisces does deal with, okay? They do deal with the unconditional love. And they also might struggle with, you know, the romanticization of things. I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm sure you guys catch my drift, where it's like they romanticize something, and it's like when they get that thing, they receive that dream, it's not quite like they had envisioned, and then there's this energy of disappointment. So that's the thing when you have Pisces in the 12th house. Unconsciously you behave this way. You might not realize you behave like this, where it's like you receive something, you receive that dream, because Pisces is very good at manifesting. Important to understand. So because you guys are so good at manifesting, when you get that thing, it's never going to be quite like you had envisioned. That's the issue with Pisces. Something important to keep in mind, if you have that Piscean 12th house, we always want to integrate the 12th house energy so it's not in the driver's seat. We want to basically take it out of the unconscious and put it into the conscious, and you want to integrate it so you can basically benefit from the positive attributes of that sign. So the thing is, the energy always needs to be expressed. So whether it's being expressed positively or negatively, it's going to find a way to come out. Most of the time when it is unconscious, okay, we don't realize that maybe we have these desires or secret dreams or goals, right, that are deep within us, okay, because it is the unconscious. What might happen is it might go into the negative traits really quickly. That's the thing if you have Pisces in that 12th house. If you have Gemini in your 12th house unconsciously, you will behave like a Gemini. So you might be someone who's interested in highly intellectual things. You might want to be intellectually stimulated at all times. Now, the thing is with the Gemini energy is that they can quickly fall into the shadow where they are not finishing their projects. So they might be interested in this thing and they start it. And they might be interested in that thing and they start it. And then things don't actually get finished because it's like they drop this to do that. And like this could be basically ruling a lot of areas in your life. You could be like this in your jobs, okay? You might be starting jobs, you know, it's not intellectually stimulating anymore, it's boring, move on to the next job. It could be in your friendships, it could be in your relationships, because you are behaving this way unconsciously. You unconsciously behave like a Gemini. Now, the thing is, Gemini does definitely have a lot of positive attributes. You could be unconsciously very social, you might want to have a lot of friends, you might be very chatty, but the thing is, the issue with the 12th house, because it's unconscious and the energy is not being expressed, or you're not aware that you have this energy, most of the time it doesn't go into the divine aspects, it goes into the shadow traits. So you don't want these energies to be in the driver's seat. You want to take control of these energies within yourself. Say, hey, you know, sometimes I might be flaky, sometimes I might be inconsistent, sometimes I might even be double-faced. That might happen with Gemini energy as well, where it's like, you know, they talk a lot, okay? They might transport gossip from friend group to friend group. So if you become aware of this, you can integrate, okay, these traits within yourself so you can become the divine version of Gemini, which is very much the jack of all trades. You know everything, you're highly intellectual. Connecting people together is the written or spoken word. Unconsciously, you might have the desire to basically either write or speak or work with a lot of people. It could even be like social media, working in social media, maybe social media marketing, or just marketing in general. It doesn't necessarily just have to be social media marketing. It could be PR, these types of things. So really important to integrate that 12th house, because once we integrate that energy within us, we are then aware, okay, of our unconscious, maybe even our secret desires, okay, that we might have going on beneath the surface. And then they are no longer driving you, okay? Because the thing is, the energy is going to be expressed, okay? So whether it's positive or whether it's negative, it's probably better to become aware of it so you can take, control of the situation. So this is what might take place if you have Gemini in the 12th house. If you have Sagittarius in your 12th house unconsciously, you behave like a Sag, okay? If we look at the whole signs chart, this might not resonate with everybody. You can definitely apply this whether it's in whole signs or not. But in whole signs, if your 12th house is in Sag, your first house, okay, is going to be in Capricorn. So you're going to be a Capricorn rising and you're going to unconsciously be behaving like a Sagittarius without realizing. This is why it's really important to integrate the 12th house, because it's kind of like you have the Capricorn desires if you have that first house in Capricorn, but unconsciously you're behaving like a Sag. If you look at Placidus, you can apply it in the same way. Let's say you have Sag regardless in your 12th house. Unconsciously, you do behave like a Sagittarius. So you want to integrate this energy. You want to integrate these lessons, because the thing is, Sagittarius can be very scattered. They can like want to do this thing, they can want to do that thing, and it's like they're very fiery in that sense, where it's like, when they're doing this one thing, they think it's the most amazing thing, and like they're super passionate about it, and everyone around them is like, wow, you're really good at that, because they do become really good at whatever they pick, and then they drop it and then move on to the next thing. Because for them, the ultimate end goal is freedom. So if that thing they're doing isn't allowing them to be free, they're gonna drop it. But the thing is, what I will tell you guys with Sag energy is they tend to be very good at whatever they do pick. Also, you might be interested in things like athletics, okay? Sagittarius is very good at athletics. All fire signs are. If you aren't interested in actually pursuing this as a career, it could be something like going to the gym to release that Sagittarius energy, because they are a fire sign, okay? They're gonna be everywhere unconsciously. Also, you're always going to be craving freedom, okay? So that's a huge thing to understand. It's always freedom, okay? So that's the name of the game for you. And it's like, if something doesn't align with freedom, you're going to drop that job, drop that person, drop that hobby, whatever it is, okay? So really important to integrate these lessons, because the thing is, we don't want the 12th house to be in the driver's seat. We want to take control of that energy so you can express it in the divine aspects. Because the thing is, when Sagittarius is in the divine aspects, they're very much lucky, okay? They're very much the teacher, they're very much the coach, the mentor, okay? They've gone around, they've learned a lot of different things, and they're now here to teach and help people around them expand. Sagittarius 12th house might be also interested in working with the public in one way, shape, or form. They might be interested in expressing themselves creatively as well, even speaking, these types of things, as long as they're able to be free. That's the whole thing here. If they're in some sort of creative project or venture and the person's maybe like constantly messaging them and like trying to control them and trying to be like, okay, we have to meet like every day, Sag is gonna drop that project even if it's like the best thing in the world or the most favorite thing that they ever wanted to do. This is the whole thing to understand if you do have Sagittarius 12th house. Freedom is basically unconsciously driving you, learning new things, meeting new people, going on adventures, being basically stimulated all times. That's the thing with the Sagittarius 12th house. I hope you guys did enjoy my video on the 12th house and how you may be behaving unconsciously. If you guys did, please do like, share, and subscribe. You can also let me know in the comments below as well. And I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the day.